Welcome, everyone. You're watching and listening Part of Your World, written by Allison and narrated by her as well. Please watch and listen as much as you can for the next few months. At the beginning of May, I will be rereading the collection under the title of Aquatica instead. I will explain more when the book reading commences. Thank you, and I do hope you enjoy Parts of Your World. Welcome, everyone. You're watching and listening Part of Your World, written by Allison and narrated by her as well. Please watch and listen as much as you can for the next few months. At the beginning of May, I will be rereading the collection under the title of Aquatica instead. I will explain more when the book reading commences. Thank you, and I do hope you enjoy Parts of Your World.
Someone was walking into a room. The person sat in a chair and looked around. The room had two other chairs, a long and tall display case, two speakers, and a couch. The person sighed, put her elbow on her knee, and rested her chin on her palm. On one of the fingers on that particular hand was a beautiful silver ring with 3 garnet crystals. Each crystal was a different species: Hassanites, Uvarabite, and Saborite. Another person entered the living room and sat down on the couch next to her friend. "What's on your mind, precious?" the second person asked. "Nothing really, Marion. I was just remembering the last time I was in the ocean." She was quiet. "That was so much fun." Her friend smiled. "It was fun," she said. "It was almost 2 years ago, Nettie." "I know," Nettie said, giggling. I just can't forget that experience. Every time I'm out in the ocean, I feel like I'm part of it. It's such a good feeling." She thought for a moment. It's like what you feel when you're working with art or music or cooking." Marion sighed. "I know. It's like it's what you were made for, built for, and can't help it. No one in the world can take that away from you," she told her. It was quiet for a while. She gasped suddenly. "Garnet, we need to get everything together. The 7 Seas party is only 2 days away." "The 7 Seas?" "The 7 Seas," Garnet whispered, trying to remember. She gasped. I almost forgot about that party. What do we need to bring?" "We need to bring like 3 things, but we're helping out decorating, remember?" "That's right. I remember trying to find my shells soon after I volunteered." "Nettie, are you sure you want to do that? What if someone ends up breaking your shells? I know they're special to you. You always bring shells home when we go to the coast," she explained. Garnet hesitated and groaned. Why do you always go for the negative, Mary?" she hissed. "That's one of the things I don't like about you, even for a sister. Family supports each other. Why can't you do that?" Her sister was about to speak, but Garnet groaned and got out of her chair. "I need some salt." Marion sighed and followed her. "Do you always have to do this? I just don't want to see you hurt." They entered the kitchen. She watched her sister open the food cabinets, looking for salt. She sighed. "I figured you'd remember by now. You've been eating salt constantly for the past 4 years. It's in the side cabinet next to the microwave." Garnet glared at her, went for the side cabinet, and found the salt. She opened another cabinet and pulled out a cup. Then she poured a small amount of salt in the cup, put her finger in there, and started to suck the salt off her finger. Her sister rolled her eyes. Then Garnet turned to the Then Garnett turned the faucet of their kitchen sink on and let the water fall into her cup. She turned the faucet off and started drinking the salt water. "Garnett, you have to admit, it is weird watching you drink salt water," she said. "Ugh, I need some food." Suddenly they could hear a gurgling sound. What was that? Marion looked out a nearby window. That almost sounded like some animal. "Mary, that was my stomach." "Don't tell me you haven't eaten today." She stared at her with wide eyes. Marion stared at her with wide eyes. "I had some fruit, but that's it." "Nettie!" Marion cried. "You have to stop starving yourself." She looked at her wristwatch. "Since Mom and Dad will be home soon, why don't we make dinner and surprise them?" She raised a brow with interest. "You make the dinner. I'll watch," Garnett said. "Besides, I'm only 10. What am I supposed to do?" She sipped her salt water. "You can heat up the vegetables in the microwave. You can also get the salmon out of the freezer." Garnett's eyes widened with fascination. "Marion, have I ever told you how much I love you?" She put the cup down to hurry over to the freezer, looked for the salmon, and pulled it out. Marion smiled and started taking cooking dishes out of the cabinets. "What else are we having?" Marion looked at her little sister. "You're right. We always have 3 dishes." She thought for a moment and gasped. "Nettie, do you remember that long loaf of bread Mom bought?" Garnett became confused. "You mean that long hunk of bread that looks like a huge worm? What do you want to use that for?" Then she spotted the butter, garlic, and gorgonzola cheese her sister was pulling out. "Oh, marvelous idea! I've been craving that garzola bread for days." She voluntarily helped out with anything else while Marion was busy. By the time they were done making dinner, their parents were going through the mail and relaxing in their bedroom. Nettie, why don't you go upstairs and tell Mom and Dad dinner's ready?" she asked as she placed a big bowl of warm garzola bread on the table. "Don't forget Patrick." 5 minutes later, everyone was at the dining room table. "This is wonderful, girls," their mother said, smelling the food and scooping out green beans and carrots. "If you continue cooking like this, Marion, we're going to register you for a cooking school. I should be paying for this." That's it. Marion giggled. "Mom, I'm about to start my second year in community college. Do you really want me to graduate before going there?" she asked, passing the special bread to her father. "Patrick, come on, eat something," the father suggested. "I'm not hungry." The boy seemed to be calm and daydreaming. "If you want to keep up with that attitude, Patrick O'Connell, you might as well stop going to the skating park with those kids you call friends. I will not let them turn you into a zombie in this house." The young boy came out of his daze and stared at his father. He pushed himself away from the table and went upstairs. The father stood up. "That's it, young man. Go to your room," he said, agreeing with what his son was doing. He sighed and sat back down. "I don't know what his problem is. You'd think junior high was turning his brain to pudding." "Calm down, dear," his wife said, placing a hand on his. "He's probably going through the same phase you once did. Don't you remember being his age?" He sighed. Once everyone had his plate filled, the family prayed and then ate dinner. It was quiet throughout the entire meal. When everyone was done eating, Marian started piling the dishes. Her father stopped her. "Let me do the dishes," he said. "It will keep my mind occupied." She smiled at him, kissed him on the cheek, and went to her room. She passed her brother's room on her way. She stopped for a moment and wondered whether to talk to him or not. She looked at his door, looked away, and shook her head. "I have a better idea," Marian thought to herself. She went to her room and started typing on her computer. Meanwhile, Garnett was walking to her own room as well. She passed her parents' room and stopped herself. She wondered if she should talk to her mother about something. She realized her dad would be in there and knew it was a bad time to go in, so she continued walking. She couldn't help hear the click-clacking of her sister typing and went to Marian's room. She knocked on the door. "What's the code?" she called out. Garnett giggled. "Pandemonium," she answered. "Pandemonium what?" She sighed in disgust and tried to remember. "Pandemonium C?" "Close enough. You can enter, Nettie." "You can enter, Nettie," she told her. She entered her sister's room. She saw her using the computer mouse, clicking a button at least 5 times, and each time moving the mouse. "What's up?" "It's hard to figure out what to do," she said. "Patrick's been acting like this for 2 years. She tried to see what her sister was doing. "What are you doing, Mary?" "I'm making something to cheer Patrick up. Since he might not be able to go to the 7 Seas with us, maybe we can create a small party of our own. Just us 3. Well, maybe Dad too. It would help them get to know each other. Update on what's going on." "That's a great idea, sis. Let me see." She peered over Marian's shoulder. "That's good, except change this to red and that to gold," she said, pointing at the screen. "Oh, that's brilliant. I was thinking what he would like. Of course it would be something boys like him would like." "Any other suggestions?" she asked, typing up the inside of the invitation. "Wait, don't type that. With what you've done on the coloring is great. The background could change, though. The borders should be a little different, considering the colors I changed on the cover," she told her. "Here, can I try something?" Her sister gave her a look. "Oh gosh, Marian, may I try something?" She slid her chair to the side as Garnett kneeled down, moving the mouse. She watched what her little sister was doing. "What? Oh, I can't believe it," she whispered. "Oh, sorry." "What? I can't believe it," she whispered. "You must be hanging out with him. How do you know all this?" I may be 10, sis, but I know what goes on outside elementary school. Boys like certain things, like cars and trading cards and latest games." "Who are you? What have you done to Garnett?" Marian stared at her. Garnett laughed. "Oh, come on. It's not like I'm going to change anytime soon." Marian snorted. "You will, trust me." Garnett ignored what she said and continued working. "Okay, I've done some tweaks after the changes I did. The rest you can do. Once you're done, print off 2 of them." She let her sister have her computer back and watched her finish and print the invitations. They worked on folding the invitation to look proper and fun. "You slip one under Patrick's door. I'll take the other and give it to Dad." "Why do you want to give it to Dad? I could do it too, you know," Marian said. "You could, but I also got to talk to Mom. Little sister trumps big sister this time." Marian gave her a funny look and giggled. Garnett took the invitation and headed to her parents' room. She knocked on the door. "Who's there?" her mother called. It's Garnett, Miss Truthful," she answered, chuckling at her joke. Her mother chuckled as well. "Come on in, dear." She slowly opened the door. "Is Dad all right?" "He's fine," her mother said calmly. She saw her mom sitting at her vanity table. "Your father is just resting his head. Is something the matter, Garnett?" "Everything's fine. I'm actually here to give Dad something." "Oh, really? I'm not important?" Garnett rolled her eyes. "Don't worry, Ma. I want to talk to you too, after I give this to Dad," she said, showing off her invitation in the vanity mirror. Her mom looked at the reflection. She smiled. "How sweet of you, inviting your dad to a party. Go ahead then. He's lying down in the bed." Her daughter shrugged, ignoring the fact her mom thought her invitation was handmade. She walked to the bed and shook her father's foot. Her dad raised his brows and then his head. He smiled. "Hi, Garnett. How's my gem doing today?" "I'm doing pretty good. I have all my homework done, and my sister has done another great deed." Her father raised his brows again. He sat up. "What has your sister done this time?" "Oh, sorry. What has your sister done now? Save a bird from a tree with a whisk of her wand?" She grinned and shook her head. "What does she do?" She and I made invitations to a party we're hosting." She gave him the invitation. "Here, it's for you." "Oh, nice. I like what you did," he said, looking through it. "Who's invited?" "Well, it's just the usual crowd." He nodded, still looking at the invitation. "Yep, it's just going to be you, me, Marion, Patrick, and Mom if she wants to go." She almost forgot about her mother in all of this. Then she realized her dad wasn't paying attention. "Of course the whole school could be invited as well. Maybe the mayor will come and give us a big key to the city." He nodded. It was quiet for a moment. "Dad?" He looked up. He realized he didn't pay attention. "I'm sorry, who's invited?" "I said it's the usual crowd. You, me, Marion, Patrick, and Mom. If she wants to come, that is." She held her breath. "That's a good idea." He paused. "Wait, where's this being held?" "Well, since the partygoers are the family, I was thinking it could be in the backyard." She looked at him with a hopeful look. He studied her. "All right, that's fine. Just don't make the party too big." He smiled. Suddenly, Patrick burst into the room. "Dad, look at this invitation I found in my room," he cried, showing it off. "Can I go, please?" He was very excited about it. "May you?" "And yes, you may go." He looked at his invitation. "It appears I'm invited too." "The whole family is invited, in fact." "Kaylee, look at this invitation." She got up from her vanity table and walked to the bed. She looked through the invitation and smiled. "Kaylee!" That freaking helps so much. She got up from her vanity table and walked to the bed. She looked through the invitation and smiled. "This is going to be an interesting party." "There are a few problems, though." "Where is it?" "When is it?" We'll have to make sure we're all available to go." Garnett spaced. "I should have figured that out before giving them the invitations," she thought to herself. "I know the person who's hosting the party. I'll go call them and ask," she told her parents. They nodded. She hurried out of the room, toward her sisters. She opened the door and closed it as she entered. "What's wrong? Did Dad not like the idea?"